Welcome to my first add-on spotlight. I recently helped a friend get into WoW and add-ons, and I was assuming he would want something like bigwigs first, boss timers, to see what abilities come next. But to my surprise, the first free add-ons he frequently requested were Rare Scanner, something I don't know much about, a proper skin for his DPS meter, so naturally I suggested him details and a different unit frames. More on that in the future. Let's talk about details. It used to be a very detailed tool for all kinds of combat metrics: DPS, HPS, buff tracking, death logs, interrupts, etc. It's still more sophisticated than Blizzard's internal version, but basically it's just a skin now. Hopefully the glory days of good old details return someday, but for now it just gives you a much cleaner look. Let's jump into it. Alright, so we are in game now. Sadly, I don't have the details from the M Plus session yesterday. I don't know why. I think it just deletes all of my information once I log out or I restart my computer. I don't know for sure. But yeah, I just hit some critters outside of Silvermoon, and now we have some details information to show. So, what is Details actually doing? It's basically the DPS meter from Blizzard in a much nicer looking skin, and a few things that are very helpful for you to like improve on yourself or find out why the group is not progressing, stuff like that. The first and most important functionality, in my opinion, is obviously the DPS. So you have like a window for the current DPS, and in my case, because I'm playing M+, I have a window for the overall DPS as well, which can be quite important to like see how you're doing in the dungeon, how the pacing is going, if the pools are big enough and stuff like that. Um, if you mouse over your own DPS or anyone in the list that is not saying this person's information is private, because that is something that can happen in Midnight. It used to be that you just see the information from other people from your own combat log, but yeah, Blizzard kind of restricted the information, so we are stuck with what we get from details, and sometimes it says that the information of the person is private and you cannot see it. But usually, in my case, when I'm playing with my group, I can see all of the information after the fight and like check out uh, what kind of DPS people were doing, what abilities they used, and which targets they hit the most. As you can see, there's a target section below. Obviously, I did 100% of the damage to the targets because I was doing it alone. But in a case you have like an ad fight, you can check if people switch to the ad and stuff like that. So, what else can you read from this DPS meter? You can click on your own name or anyone's name actually, and then this window will pop up where you can like look in much finer detail what actually happened, and you can like yeah, check different targets, what kind of DPS they got, and you can like select other people from the list over here, and then see what their damage split was, and like scroll down and look at finer details like what kind of damage did that trinket do, for example, stuff like that. So it's very good to like judge your own performance, judge the performance of other people, and find mistakes and stuff like that. So I think this is the main use for details. Obviously, it works the same in HPS. I don't think I did any HPS, so we cannot check that right now. But yeah, in general, it works for both of the roles in the same way. Another useful information is basically you have these like icons on top of your details window, and then you have like something to reset. I usually reset but keep M plus over all segments. So this is what I usually do. And then you can like you used to report results to the group. As far as I tested right now, it did not work properly, so it did not like report um, my shown window to the group very rare, but it used to be, and I hopefully this function returns that you can like report information you get, like maybe you swap this window to interrupt, and then you like link it to the group and say, hey, we had like 15 interrupts in this pack, and we needed like 16. You are doing one less. Can you do one more? Stuff like that. So yeah, this is like for reporting results, and then obviously on the little sword icon over here, you can like swap the window contents. So we have DPS, We have damage taken. I can see that I was auto-attacked by the Sunset stack and the Sunset Doe, and they hit me with butting charge. So this can be useful, especially for a tank, when you like set it to damage taken and you look at it and you see, wow, there's a huge DPS spike. Where did I get hit from? What was that ability? And maybe you find out, oh, this mob has a tank buster, and then you need to like use a defensive and react differently. So this can be quite useful. Enemy damage taken, yeah, obviously you can like look at this window in a fight where you have priority adds and they need to be focused down. So this would be like a functionality frequently used in some M plus and even in Mythic boss fights. But in general, it's not that much used. Avoidable damage taken, I'm not sure if this is even working, but if yes, then you could look if you like stand in a void and get fire damage or stuff like that. You can look up here. And then, yeah, same for healing. Not sure if potions is working as well, but this used to be quite critical that you can like quickly check in the fight, did everyone use the potion, and we are missing like 1.3% DPS. Sometimes you can get that from a potion. Um, then resources, I don't think any of these are working. Sadly, they removed that. Mana regenerated, especially for healers, might be an interesting information in a fight. You need to check that in logs now. That's still working, so you can go to Warcraft logs and look up this information, but in details. For the quick look after combat, it's no longer supported. And then miscellaneous, very, very important category in the past, because you could see like things like CC breaks, you could see buff uptimes, debuff uptimes, you could track stuff that is very important for like decision making and strategy in like difficult mythic encounters. Now, yeah, it's a shell of its former self, basically. You can obviously track interrupts, you can track dispels, and you can track death, which all of them are quite useful. So interrupts again, if you are in a pack and you need like 16 interrupts and you only have 15, you can check who interrupted the least and then ask them if they can do one more or stuff like that, or you find another solution. Same goes for dispels. If you die to like a ticking dot and it is dispellable, and your healer has no dispels, wait, wait a second, is that dispel button binded or no? So yeah, this is something quite useful for that. Deaths are especially useful, in my opinion, for improving yourself. So if you set it to like deaths and you you die in a dungeon or you die in a mythic encounter, you can go into this window and you can mouse over this your own death basically, and then it will say what happened to you in the last like 10 seconds or something like that. So oh wait, I was standing in fire, or no, I did nothing wrong. I was just hit by the tank buster because the tank didn't taunt or stuff like that. So yeah, this is quite useful for self-improvement in my opinion. And I think details is one of the most underrated add-ons by many of the like less skilled population, because it's like a huge self-improvement tool. So in combination with Warcraft logs, I think basically 80 to 90% of your improvement comes from checking details, checking your own logs, and improving on what you see there, and not actually from like watching a guide or stuff like that. Obviously, you need to know the boss mechanics, but the improvement and the fine-tunement of your own ability and your own skills and how you perform in a fight comes from checking details and checking Warcraft logs. So yeah, small overview. Let me see if I can switch to a different profile for a second. Let's do. So we are in Dragonflight right now. Let's actually go to like some random character. There's my YouTube character. So we go to this, and then you can see that details can look quite different if you first get it, and you need to change the appearance like in these settings. So for example, let's go to the bars, and then we can set up the bar height, make it a little bit bigger. We can change the bar text to a different font if I find it. Font, well, here is it. I am blind. Alright, well, there are a lot of different fonts. I usually used this one, I think, or wait, or this one. These are my preferred ones, but there's a lot of nice fonts that are clearly good to read and stuff like that. And I think there's some way you can like have your own fonts in the game. But in general, I would pick something that is like quite easy to read. I like this 2002 bold. Is quite nice to read. So here's the texture for now. This can be quite interesting if you like want to like have fancy textures and you like your details looking a bit different. So this can be quite interesting. I don't like these at all. I'm usually sticking to minimalist. This is like what I kind of like in settings. Alright, there are a few more things you need to know. Well, first of all, many people want to have the option enabled that they always show me. That will mean that if your DPS meter is showing, I mean, in this case, maybe it shows like 5 people, and let's say you're number 8 on the list, then it will always like show the fifth position in the DPS meter is your own DPS, and it will say like 8 Istaria. So my character would be the lowest on the DPS meter in this case, and then it will show the top 4, of course, as well. This might be useful for some people. I usually don't use this. If I'm not on top of the DPS meter, then I actually don't care as much. I will like look after the fight, what happened, why I'm not performing, or I assume that it is like something like my gear or stuff like that. Um, Basically, if you if you care about your own DPS in a fight, then you can enable this. But if you don't care it while you are in fight, you can easily like scroll down and look for yourself after the fight or check the log like that. But yeah, some people like to always see themselves in a DPS meter, so that is where that option is. And then we can use like this formatting thing. So we enable use simple text formatting, which means that we have the DPS in brackets at the end, and then we have the overall damage, which is sometimes important. Basically, you want to sometimes see how much damage a person did in the entire encounter. Let's say the boss has 100 million life, you have 10 people, and 8 of them do 10 million damage and 2 of them do 6 million damage. And now you know, well, we need more DPS from these people to overall make it. And then we can check how much improvement they need to do, or how much fine tuning, or if you can get more DPS or more damage to the boss from one person. That's especially important if you like check the targets as well, so that you optimize your own damage. For that information, it's sometimes useful to know what your overall output was and not just the DPS number. So as you can see, my window is more like transparent. I can see more things through the window, which can be quite important in Mythic encounters, so that you can see like a fireball flying towards you or stuff like that. So having it transparent is usually quite important. And then obviously there's the option to like lock the window in place. I usually don't do that. So yeah, this one is actually locked. But as you can see, I can like move it around. So this option is still enabled. And I used to have like a button. So I have a macro that used to toggle SCADA, which was the older DPS meter I used before details. But basically, this is a details toggle macro, which will disable the DPS meter on click. And for some encounters, this is actually important because you like basically want to turn off your UI to see what is happening in the encounter when you have to like look really what is happening on the ground, or you are playing some kind of mini game where you need to check out what is shown on the ground, or stuff like that. So then it might be useful to like at least disable the DPS meter and then have a keybind for disabling the nameplates. Um, but sometimes it's like worth it to just disable your entire UI. If you want to go deeper in these options, feel free to like check them out yourself. I'm not sure if I will like post my own profile. I'm not sure how to do that. Maybe like paste bin or stuff like that. But obviously I will try to make it available if it's possible. But again, I'm not doing anything special. I can just click through the options right now so that you can see. But I have like animated bars, basically nothing selected here. And then these are my bars general settings. So yeah, I'm looking for specialization icons. Actually, I'm using bento bar currently in my. Wait, is this now my midnight profile? I need to check. Give me a second. Profiles. No, it's not. Where's my midnight profile? So this one. Um, well, it's the same thing. It's bento bar. So yeah, usually I'm usually minimalist, but kind of like the way this looks in the DPS meter because the bar getting darker at the end means that it's easier to read the text at the end. So this is kind of nice actually. So I will keep it. Basically, I think this was the idea what I did like 12 years ago. Can't remember for sure. But yeah, these are my bar settings and then my text settings. I slightly increased text size, I think, and I'm using the Fritz Quadrata TT font to make it readable for me. And then I think title bar is nothing special. Again, like the same settings that I used for the other things. I think it's the same font, yeah, same font, same text size. So yeah, to make it just a little bit more readable. And then I think, is it this one that, no. Still a bit confused how you make the window transparent. So here's a click-through, by the way. Click-through in combat. Um, Background texture, details ground. Yeah, well, you need to look for the option yourself. I can't find it right now, but generally I would advise to like make the window a little bit more see-through. Well, then status bar. Obviously, these settings are chosen, and then wallpaper is basically that this part of the DPS meter where you have nothing, like no bars, has like a picture in it, and you can like customize your eye to your liking, and then some people have some anime characters there or stuff like that. So yeah. Automation, pretty sure this no longer works. Then you have profiles, then you can download skins. Um, I have the skin selected actually. Didn't know that, but it is the minimalistic theme. So you might want to like check out if different skins like work for you, like a dark theme. So basically, if you want the profile of someone else, you like export the profile like this, and then you go to your profile what you want to import, and then you import it, and then it should lag for a second because there's a lot of information in this, and then you press OK, and you call it midnight 2. So now it is there. All right. So yeah, basically skins, you can like check out this and like set your theme there, and then I think plugins again is no longer working, not sure. Again, I will click them through just in case that there's some kind of weird option that I have enabled that you don't. So you can just look at the video and then pause it and see if there's anything I did differently. All right, I think that's it. This was supposed to be a quite short video, and looking at the recording time, it's already like 25 minutes. But yeah, that's the thing with doing add-on talks and add-on spotlights. They will probably take quite a long time, and looking at the list of add-ons that I need to like spotlight, it can be quite a while before I get to some of them. And yeah, I hope this was interesting to you. And if you have a different add-on that you would like to have a specific spotlight on, and you really want me to push that earlier on the list, then feel free to write me down in the comments. And obviously like and subscribe the video if you liked it. And I see you in the next one. Bye bye.